Okay, so I want to use Weka for time series, and we have some input variables and one output variable. The output variable is a gust. It's a 0, 1 variable, and the inputs are things like temperature and pressure and so forth. And I want to use, so for example, if I want to predict the gust now, I want to use the inputs from the previous period. The periods happen to be 30 minutes in this case, which is not so good. It's kind of a long gap. But anyway, I want to use the previous 30 minutes and maybe the previous 30 minutes to that as well. So two lags to predict the current gust. So for example, if the data looks like this, then suppose I want to predict the gust here, say this one, then what I'll do is I'll make a copy of this. So this is what I would do in Excel, or one thing I could do in Excel. So I want to use this data. I didn't copy this one. Oh well. I want to use this data, for example, to predict this. And I want to use this data. This is a copy, so this would be here, one period later. So I want to use this one and this one to predict this. So what I can do is I can just take all of this and go down to the end and just bring it down one. Well, let me do it from the top just so I can see what I'm doing. So I would bring this down. How do I do that? Whoops, that seemed not to work too well. Oh, it worked too well. Like that. So this is aligned with that. And then I would do this. And drop this down too. So that is aligned with that. Of course, I'd have to get rid of these headers. So I'd be using these inputs and these inputs, which are one of them is lagged twice and one of them is lagged once, to predict this gust here. Okay, so I want to do that in Weka as well. So let's see how you would do that in Weka. So let me bring up Weka. Okay, so actually what I'll do is I'll stop this movie and start again, just so I can just focus on the screen. Okay, so let's use Weka for that. So let's open a file. Find a file. And well, let's see, just in case, I'm going to open up that CSV file. Okay, so we have this. Actually, for now, I don't know if this is right or not, but for now I'm going to get rid of this date and time. And I will also want to get rid of this variable because this was, if you recall, that wasn't what we want. So I have that. So this is what I'm trying to predict. It's numeric, so I have to make it nominal first. Let me do that. Should have done that before, but I'll do that now. So I want to go and make numeric to nominal and apply that. I'll make sure that it is nominal. And also, okay. And now, I think I will just save this as a I'll just save this as an R file. Okay? And in fact, I think I'll reopen it as an R file. I think it works better if it starts as an R file. Okay, next, I want to do those things that we were just suggesting. So the way you have to do this in Weka is kind of confusing. What I'm going to do is make at least one copy. In fact, I'm going to make no, I'll make just one copy of these input variables, 1 through 6. I was thinking I might make 2 copies, and I'll actually make 2 copies and I'll undo it just to show you what it looks like. So first, and then after I make a copy, then I want to shift the copy back twice, and I want to shift the this 1 through 6 back once, and that should do it. So let's see what that entails. So first of all, I will make a copy, use the copy filter, which is here, and it asks you which ones do you want to copy. I could say 8 and invert. I guess that would work just fine. But I'll just be simple about it and say 1 through 7. And click OK. So I want to copy 1 through 7. No, that's wrong. 1 through 6. I don't want to copy the Gus variable. 1 through 6. And apply it. So now you can see I got copy of temperature, copy of humidity, and so on. Okay. Now if I wanted to have another, go back even further, I don't need to click these actually. I could copy these. If I copy these again, the first 1 through 6 again, I tried that, but it just gives you the same name here, so I don't want copy of pressure. I'd rather have copy of copy, although that's not very nice, but I'd rather have that. So I want to copy 8 through 13. So I'll try that. 8 through 13. Is that right? 8 through 13, and apply that. And so then I would get this, which is really not so great looking, but that's what I would get. In fact, I'm not going to do that though. I'm going to undo that. Okay, now I have these variables and these, and now I have to shift things, right? Before I do that though, I want to make sure that Weka knows which is my class variable, because usually it will just take the last variable. So it would think this is the class variable, this is the thing I'm trying to predict, but that's not what I'm trying to predict. I'm trying to predict this one. So I should go and there's one class assigner. Okay, and then I don't want last, I want 7. Variable number 7 to be the class. So click that and click apply. So now we have that, and it's hopefully that's the class. I'm not sure where how I know that that has worked, but I'll assume that it has worked. Um, and now I'll just save this as well. And what should I call this one? I'll just call this with copies. Save. And I think I'll open, well, I don't think I need to open that. Okay, and now I have to do what I said in terms of pushing things back in time. And that is done with time series translate here. So, which ones do I want to push back? I want to push back 1 through 6, for example. I'll push that back 1 period. So I put the indices, the attribute indices that I want to push back. 1 through 6, and I want to push them back 1 period. So hopefully this is right. And I click OK. Is that right? 1 through 6, 1 through 6. Yeah. So apply that. And then I want to push back, for example, what is this? 8 through 13. 8 through 13. I want to push that back twice. Okay. So I have that, and I can apply 8 through 13. Yeah, apply that. Okay, let's save it. And also, I want to save it as a CSV file so I can check it more easily. Okay, now let's check it. Okay, so let's check and see if what we did worked before we go on. So I think that's this one here that I want to open. So let's see. It looks like we pushed the first row down because there's blanks there. So we must have pushed the first row down. And here it looks like we pushed it down twice. So that for this row, the third row, we're using the first row from here, right? Using this row, and we're using the second row, which is here, right? Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. So it looks like it works in terms of what we're trying to do. So then let's go ahead and continue it. Okay, so it seems to have worked in terms of what we're trying to do. Now let's actually try and make a prediction. So let's use, I'll just use this one just for temporarily. I think also we'd want to now split this data into a training and testing set. But I'm just going to let Weka split it with a percentage split, although that's not really the way I want to do it, generally speaking. But just for this example. So I'll try a neural network, or which is fastest? No, I'll try a tree, cart, simple cart with percentage split like that. And seems like this is the, I think we have to set this like that to indicate that this is the class variable, but I hope that works. I thought I already set it, but anyway, let's see about that. Are there any options we need to set here? I don't think so. And seems to be okay. Now I'll click Start and see what happens. Okay, that seems to be taking a long time. I didn't expect that. Let me try a different one. Let's see if we can get something faster. I thought that was fast. Let's try J48, see what happens there. Okay, that was very fast. So, how did it do? 81%. And as far as I know, it's done the right thing in terms of shifting and in terms of the predictor variables. So that is how you can use time series in Weka. And by the way, just to make it perhaps a little bit clearer, let me show you this. What we did is we took gust as a function of the our x inputs. I guess we should say gust at time t as a function of our inputs x at t minus 1, where x is a vector of all of the variables, just to make it easy to write like this, and x of t of all the variables at t minus 2. So that's what we tried to do here. Predict gust as a function of these sets of variables. Okay, that's all.